Okay, better late than never. We'll do just a few more arms up and down. It's a technical term. And then pausing this movement here. If you are cross-legged, go ahead and switch the cross of your legs to give yourself a little break here. And when you're ready, we'll start to twist towards the right, simply looking towards the right and maybe letting the left arm cross over towards the right knee, right fingertips back behind you. And here you can use your front hand pressing into your knee to twist you even more. As you inhale, you might imagine like you're growing a bit taller. And as you exhale, you twist gently, twisting, maybe looking towards the back of the room. Come back to the center and simply switch sides. So perhaps that right hand crosses towards the left hand goes behind. I think we do this almost every week. As you inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, twist. And a few more breaths like this. And then coming right back through the center, bring the arms wide once again, big T, turn the palms up, reach from fingertip to fingertip. Imagine like you were trying to, while opening the chest, also bring the arms back behind you just a little bit. So it's like a bit of a chest opener, yeah. And then bring the arms forward, pinky fingers maybe touch, maybe not, towards each other. And going like this a few more times. So we're keeping the practice simple this evening, flowing with the breath, exploring different practices that might help us stretch out a little bit, might allow us to become aware of our body. And sometimes these practices make us feel a little bit better, a little lighter. And then not always, right? So there's no pressure to like have a huge transformation in every yoga class. I think some of the biggest moments are simply being present with each other in the right here and the right now. Let's do one more. And then we'll pause this movement, float the arms all the way down. Shoulder rolls for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And one more seated shape before we come to all fours. So feel free to lengthen your legs out. If there feels like there's some pressure on the backs of the knees, you're welcome to bend your knees a little bit. Or if the hamstrings are just feeling a little tight or they're not so long, you can start here upright and then simply draw your chin towards your chest. Feel free to stay right here, or maybe you walk your hands to your shins. Maybe those hands come to the ankles or the toes. And let the breath flow as you come to fold forward any amount. This isn't about touching our toes. It's not about pressing our head down. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then we'll walk our hands to our knees, come to sit tall. And from here, we'll move to a tabletop. So props are optional, but you might include a blanket for underneath your knees, just for a little extra support here. And we'll come to our tabletop just like this. Okay, there we go. So take your time to arrive here. If you like, you can start to simply rock from side to side. So just exploring what it feels like to rock from side to side here. And maybe you put a little more weight in the right hand, right knee, and then left hand, left knee. And continuing this rocking motion. And then pausing this movement here, we'll come forward a bit, shoulders over the wrists. And then let the hips go back towards the heels, just towards the heels, not all the way down. And a few more breaths like this. So we went side to side, we're going forward and back. A few more movements like this. And then pausing this movement, coming back to center and begin to move through cat-cow. So there's lots of different directions. We can move through all fours. We'll continue moving like this for several breaths. Perhaps allowing the breath and the movement to sink, flowing at your own pace and rhythm. Three more movements just like this. And then pausing this movement here, we'll come into a child's pose. Bring your knees wide, send your hips down back by your heels, and bring your forearms to the floor. You might actually even bring your head to the floor, or you can absolutely use a blanket. Then we'll stay in this child's pose for a moment. If child's pose isn't a comfy shape for you, you can always find a new variation. You could just sit up on your heels. And we'll take a moment here, just like we did at the very start of our practice, to notice our breath without any judgment or without trying to make any changes. Simply notice. And feel free to allow the next breath to arrive into the nose and release out of your mouth. And a few more cycles of breath like that. Now, in your own time, come forward to all fours and make your way to lie down on your belly. Now, this next shape, I show a lot of shapes, especially over Zoom, but it might be nice to see a reference here. And we've done this before in gentle, so you might be familiar. We're going to take our right arm and bring it wide off to the right. The gaze can go over to the left, and the left fingertips, I'll show what you'll do with your left fingertips with my right hand. They'll press into the earth and be closer to the mat. So we have right arm wide, we have left arm a bit closer. Start to open up onto the right side and bring the left leg up and back. For some of us, this left leg will touch the floor. For others, like myself, it won't. So we're finding a stretch in the right chest area, maybe even the right arm. I feel it all along the arm. The head can stay lifted or lower down. You might have to maybe move like I move my, just to be real, my boobs out of the way and then sort of just come over to the side just so you have space. So feel free to maneuver. It does not have to be graceful. And once you feel a bit of a stretch, that's where you land and pause. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's come back down onto our bellies. Bring the hands underneath the forehead for a little pillow. Bend your knees and rock your heels from side to side. Pause the rocking, lengthen the legs. I'm going to switch just so that it's easier to see me. If you need a reference again, we'll bring the left arm wide. Bring the right fingertips down. Right fingertips are closer to the mat or even on the mat, and start to roll over on your left side. The right leg lifts up and over. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back down, belly on the ground. This time, bring both hands wide to the sides of your yoga mat. Lengthen your legs, press your fingertips down, lift your chest. And then release your heart and head, and either stay on your belly. You can totally stay on your belly, or you can press up and back into a downward facing dog. So if you're feeling like, I want a little more stillness, stay on your belly. If you want a little more activity, down dog. I consider down dog like a workout pose personally, especially if we hold it for a while. The arms get sore, tired. Coming to your down dog or staying on the belly and breathing where you are. If you are in down dog, feel free to bend one knee and then bend the other knee. And you might even wiggle the hips from side to side. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Finding your sense of stillness, and feel free to stay in down dog for a few more breaths. You might even come to child's pose. So from here, we'll just come to a couple of standing shapes. Let's see. Great. Okay. So we'll start by bringing the feet not as wide as you do for like a warrior 2, but a little bit wider than the hips. And we'll turn the toes out a little bit and just start to rock from side to side. So we're just going to do a couple of standing shapes. And then we'll pause this rocking side to side and turn the toes straight forward, maybe widen the feet a little bit. Feel free to bring your hands to your hips. Turn your right toes off to the right, bend your right knee, and come to warrior 2. Press down through your feet and lengthen through the crown of your head. Allow your shoulder blades to release towards one another. You might even turn the palms open if it feels nice to have a little more opening in the chest. One more breath in and breath out. Lengthen the front leg, bring the arms down. Turn the left toes straight forward. Turn the right toes towards the front of the mat and bend the front knee. So we're just coming to our second side, and maybe those arms are wide. Maybe the palms turn up. Totally optional. Breathing where you are. And when you're ready, you can float the arms up, lengthen the front leg, turn both toes or both feet in the same direction, bend the knees a little bit, and start to fold forward any amount. So I like to sometimes just bring my hands under my knees, lengthen through the crown, and other times if it's feeling possible, the hands come onto the earth. You do have pillows and blankets, so you can also stack your hands up, and that goes for any time. Allow your head to hang down so you're not working to hold your head up. That's hard work. Our heads are heavy. We're busy. So we just get to let it go for a moment. Let that head go. 2 more breaths. And then bending the knees softly a bit more, bring the hands above the knees, and on an inhale, rise all the way up. And we will switch side, or pardon, do a second standing shape, turning the right toes off to the right, bend the right knee, bring the arms wide like a T. Lengthen your front leg. If you like, you can come to triangle, and you might just simply bring that right hand above the knee. That might be enough. Top palm is facing towards the long side of your mat, so it's open. You might also bring the hand a little further down. Just see how you go with it. Pressing through the feet. Slight tilt of the hips back as the spine lengthens. For 3, and 2, and 1. And then we'll rise all the way up. Bend the front knee. Turn the front palm up, send the back hand back to reverse the shape. Come on up to warrior 2. Lengthen the front leg, arms float down. We'll simply switch sides. So now we're turning left toes to the left. We're coming to warrior 2 just for a moment. Press through your feet, lengthen through the crown of your head. Now turn your, lengthen the front leg. I was reversing it for a second, and come to your variation of triangle. Take your time to arrive with it. Hips back gently, lengthening through the crown of your head, and breathing here. And when you are ready, you can go ahead and come up to your warrior 2. Turn your front palm up, send your back hand back to reverse. Come on up, warrior 2, lengthen the front leg. All 10 toes point in the same direction. Slight bend in the knees, bring the hips back, and start to bring your hands towards or onto the ground. Feel free to use some props. Allow your head to hang. This is one of my favorite yoga shapes. I don't know what it is about it. I like the space between the feet. And I always get a good stretch here. Anyways, from here, you can bend one knee, bend the other knee, and invite in maybe a different kind of stretch. Maybe it's along the inside of the legs, maybe the outsides of the shins. Just a few more rocks like this from side to side. And we'll pause in the center and bow the head for 3, for 2, for 1. And press into your feet to rise all the way up. Bring the arms wide off to the sides. Make like a big star with your body, pressing into your feet, reaching through the fingertips. You might even look up. And then float the arms down and heel toe the feet together. Bring one hand to the center of your chest, one hand to your belly, and take a moment to feel your breath. Your breath is your breath, but it's also my breath. Same air, same flow, breathing in. Breathing out. Just a moment of silence here. Then you can float your arms down and open your eyes. And then we'll move to a seated shape. So take your time to set up here. I like to sit on 2 blankets. I'm just going to check the time here. Okay. You can see how you go with it. But I'm going to sit on 2 blankets just to have a little bit of a lift. And we're actually going to come to a wide stance again. And so here, it's okay that you can't see both my feet, but we'll come to a wide stance here with the toes pointing straight up. Now, if you like, you can put a couple pillows underneath your knees, and that would especially be if you kind of feel pressure under your knees. Okay, they can be as wide as I'm showing, the feet can be closer together, and if you're feeling the tendency to lean back, You might lift up on more and then sit close to the edge of your blankets, or you might let yourself lean back into a wall. That's perfectly fine. Let's bring the left palm on top of the left shin or knee. So you see where it goes. And start to walk the left fingertips closer to the left ankle while you sweep the right arm through the center and then up by the ear, coming to a side bend. Yeah. You might even take hold of your left foot, but we're not pushing that. That's just an option. Perhaps looking up gently towards the ceiling for 3 and 2 and 1. And then come right back to the center. Looking towards your right leg, you can bring your right palm on top of your shin or thigh. And then start to walk the right fingertips closer to your ankle. Maybe it's like a centimeter closer. Reach the left arm, forward through the center up by the ear, coming through to your side bend. Breathing here. Two more breaths. And then come back to the center slowly. Hands can just rest gently on the knees. Draw your chin towards your chest, and this might be where your forward fold is. You could even do this as you lean back. Another option is to walk the hands forward 1 inch, 3 inches, as far forward as is available to you this evening, to your body, to your practice. Allow your head to hang. Notice your breath, and if possible, you might bring a little more awareness to the breath through the back of your body. Filling up low back, mid back, upper back. Letting go out of the mouth. Three more breaths if you like. And then walking the hands back towards the hip, totally acknowledging that was a long hold. Those hands go behind the body, bend the knees, and plant the feet on the floor to rock the knees from side to side. Okay. I'm going to turn to the side, but you're welcome to stay as you are. It depends on how much space you have. I'm going to scoot off my blankets for this and just scoot the blankets to the side. We'll plant the soles of the feet to the floor. We do this one often too. And then turn the fingertips towards the hip. So I'm preparing for a bridge, a reverse table. As you press into the hands, you can draw the shoulder blades towards one another. So you're instead of going here, you're lifting, lengthening, and just letting those elbows point straight back or towards that direction. And for me, I feel a lot of sensation here. This is a great place to stay. Another option is to press into the feet so much that your hips lift. I'm going to pause on that tonight, but you can totally do that if you like. If you're lifting your hips, you might look up towards the ceiling. For 5 and 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower your hips all the way down. Lengthen your legs out long in front of you. Draw your toes towards your knees, giving yourself a little flex. And then point your toes away from you, stretching the tops of the feet. Come back slowly onto your forearms. And then you can adjust yourself so that you're simply lying on your back. Take a moment, 1 minute here, just simply coming to Shavasana, but just for a moment. We're not there yet in our practice. Practicing for more than half an hour here, moving, flowing, breathing. So just checking in with ourselves now, bodies lying on the ground. How does my breath feel? Notice the thoughts, the quality of the mind. If your eyes are closed, you can open them. We'll plant the soles of the feet to the floor and then hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. Maybe you even curl your forehead towards your knees. And then lower just your left foot down. So the left sole of the foot is on the ground. The right knee is into the chest. You can either stay here with the hand on the knee and let your head release. Another option, hand comes to hamstring and right heel reaches up towards the ceiling. And wherever you are, knee bent or long, we start to circle the ankle. You can also hold on to like the pants of your, the fabric of your pants. We'll switch, go in the other direction. We're getting closer to our full-on restorative. We'll pause that movement of ankle circling and lower the right foot down. Draw the left knee into the chest. And maybe you stay right here. Maybe hands come to left hamstring and you're welcome to reach that left heel up. And we'll start to circle the ankle. And we'll go in the other direction. We'll pause the movement of circling, float that foot onto the ground. Bring your feet almost as wide as your yoga mat. Let your knees come towards one another and take a moment. Maybe hands rest on thighs or belly. Simply breathe. Okay. So now we'll set up for a supported tree shape on the back. And what that looks like is just like it looks standing, but we have more support. So I'll invite you to use one blanket for this. And so you can just get that blanket ready. But if you know you like something under your head too, like I just always kind of, when I lie down, I like to have a blanket under my head. You're more than welcome to do that. And you can watch me because this isn't one we do every week. We'll come to lie down. The left foot will be out as if we were standing on it. So the toes are tucked. And then the right knee falls to the right, but we have a little blanket to support us. So the right knee falls to the right, and that blanket is just giving us a little support. So it's just like tree shape, Vrikshasana, but it's Supta Vrikshasana, which just means tree pose on the back. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get set up like that. I'm gonna offer some options for the upper body. And I'm gonna come up in a moment. So again, if you see me seated while you're lying down and you're like, oh, did I miss something? You didn't. I'm just, I don't like to be on the ground for a super long time because then I can't read the comments and things. Okay, so for this shape, we're starting with the left foot flex, but we won't have it flex the whole time. We'll let it go in a moment. Option to simply bring your left hand onto your left hip flexor. And that's the space, if you were to kind of put a hand's length from underneath your belly button towards your pubic bone, and then go off to the left a little bit, that's your hip flexor area. It's like the left lower belly. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let's let the left toes go now. Just let them relax. An option to reach your right arm up by the ear. If you do that and it feels a little bit too active, not so restorative, you can lower the arm down. Any other options or supports you'd like to give yourself are welcome with excitement. We just arrived here. We're still settling in. We have 2 more minutes here. Take a moment to notice your breath. Your next breath in. Your next breath out. Allow the breath to simply be here. These restorative shapes are more about being, less about doing. Let's see if we can embody that. I'll be reading just a few things throughout the restorative, and they're from Rupi Kaur's book called Homebody. You are a soul, a world, a portal, a spirit. You are never alone. You are organs and blood and flesh and muscle, a colony of miracles weaving into each other. You are not alone. Alone would be if your heart no longer beat, your lungs no longer pulled, and your breath no longer pushed. How are you alone if an entire community lives in you? If you chose that right arm long by your ear, you can let it float down by your side. Take your time to slowly come out of this shape, starting by drawing your right knee back in to point towards the ceiling, right foot on the floor. Before switching sides, bend that left knee so both soles of the feet are on the floor, and feel that. Feel your soles of your feet on the floor. And then we'll switch sides. So you can scoot that pillow or blanket rather off to the left when you're ready. Lengthen now the right leg long and bring the left knee wide. And then adjust as you're ready. We'll start with the right toes strong, pointing towards the ceiling. So it's a little active to start, and you might reach your, let's see, this is your left arm this time, up towards the ceiling. Totally optional. That's slightly more active, and you can do that for a few breaths, for a lot of breaths. It's up to you. Now you'll let the left toes relax. So they're no longer flexed. They're just releasing, letting go here. Noticing your next breath in and your next breath out. We have another moment here, a minute, and I'm going to offer that minute in silence. If that top arm is reaching up towards the ceiling, you can start to lower that arm down. Yeah. Take a moment here with both arms down by the sides, or maybe they're both resting on your hip flexors. We will slowly transition. So you can bring the left knee to point towards the ceiling. Lengthen now both legs out long. Both legs long, feet flexed, reach your arms up by your ears, stretching from your heels to your fingertips. One full body, big stretch. And then slowly float your arms down, let your toes relax a bit. Good, okay. Now bend the knees again and bring the soles of the feet to the floor. And bring the feet again a bit wider than the hips, maybe even as wide as your yoga mat. Let the thighs touch for constructive rest. Now here, you can feel free to take the blanket that you have nearby still and place it over your knees, and it might unfold once. And that way there's some release towards the midline and also down towards the floor. So feel free to bring your blanket around your knees. Yeah. I'm going to offer some options for arm variations. One option is you stay exactly as you are. So wherever your arms and hands rested comfortably, just notice that and stay if it feels good. Another option is to come to eagle arms, which might be slightly more, um, provide more sensation. So you'll reach your arms up towards the ceiling. And you'll cross your right arm over your left. And maybe you stay there, or maybe you take your eagle wrap. So you bring your palms together and just gently press the top arm into the bottom arm. And you might lift and lower your elbows just a few times. Pausing that movement. Switching the clasp when you're ready. Unclasp left arm over right. Maybe we stay, or maybe we bring palms together. Top arm into bottom arm. Breathing here. And then maybe up and down a little bit with the elbows. Pausing your movement. Unwrap the arms, rest your hands on your belly. If they're not there already, you can bring your hands to your belly. Feel your breath filling up your hands. If you like, you can join me for a specific breath where we exhale on an SH, like we're saying, like it's almost like shh, like you're saying shush, but sort of drawing it out. So it's a long exhale. So we're inhaling fully. Exhale, slow, long shh. Just a couple more like that. Inhaling fully. Exhaling. Shh. One more breath. Take your time from here to roll towards your left side and stay on your left side for 2 breaths. Now from here, we will come to our final resting shape. So for this shape, you can absolutely stay on your left side. You could lie on your belly or lie on your back. I'll often recommend using 2 or 1 pillows or a bolster under your knees, and then a blanket under your head so you have support. And then you might bring a blanket over your entire body. So what's most important here is that you're comfortable and you feel like you can rest and maybe relax a bit for the next 5 minutes. And kind reminder, if you're feeling like you need extra rest this evening, if I tell you it's time to come up, doesn't mean you have to. You could also stay there and I'll say hello to you next week, or just a wave goodbye from here. So take your time to find your spot, and you can even stretch it out a little bit. So once you're in your spot, if you feel like you wanted one more stretch or 2, you're more than welcome to practice that. I'm going to stay seated for this practice so I can instruct and check out the time. So giving us another minute to set up because we have plenty of time. And when you feel ready, starting to settle here, perhaps eyes closed, allowing the body to open and settle deeply and completely. And you can do that even in movement as you're getting settled. So again, no rush. Once you feel as settled as possible this Thursday evening, notice your next breath in and your next breath out. And we'll do a countdown from 10 to 1. You can join me with the rhythm or just listen to the count and breathe on your own. Inhaling, exhaling 10, inhaling, exhaling 9, inhaling, exhaling 8, inhaling, exhaling 7, inhaling, exhaling 6, inhaling, exhaling 5, inhaling, exhaling 4, inhaling, exhaling 3, inhaling, exhaling 2, and inhaling, exhaling 1, completely releasing, letting go, remaining here for a few more minutes. We'll slowly begin to perhaps notice the breath, maybe deepen it a little so the inhales are longer, the exhales are longer. But noticing is always the first step. And you might wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, maybe rock your head from side to side. So just giving yourself space to move slowly out of this shape. And when you do feel ready, you can even give yourself one final full body stretch from heels to fingertips. But when you're ready, go ahead and come to a seat. And again, feel free to stay resting. It's totally welcome, always, always, always. And we'll come to sit together for just a moment. But first, just finding some gentle movements. Maybe they're shoulder rolls, maybe they're head circles again. You might even take a big stretch wide, arms up towards the ceiling, and perhaps floating right back down. So just any of those kind of the movements we did at the start, arms up and down, shoulders, circles. And then when you're ready, feel free to take one hand to the center of the chest and maybe the other hand rests on the thigh, or perhaps it comes to the belly. It's a spot, an option I offer often. So just finding what works for you this evening. You might close your eyes for this final moment or simply gaze down or slightly forward of you. Take a moment to acknowledge you, all that lives and works inside of you, your physical body, spiritual, mental, emotional, all of you. And take a moment to acknowledge the others practicing all here together, all of us. You might extend your energy, your awareness to others in your community, perhaps then extending out to anyone else that you think might need a little extra breath. We heal, as Glennon Doyle Melton says, we heal not in isolation, but togetherness. A final breath in and breath out. And thank you so much for practicing on with me, gentle yoga. Appreciate you.